Atlanta. You're listening to the new WCEG network, WCEGtalkradio.com. We are the worldwide community group. We are here to speak life in the community. Uh, I am Herman Anderson, one of the co-hosts. The other co-host is Anthony Aiken. He's not available today. Uh, our guest will be coming on shortly. Her name is Debra, Representative Debra Bazemore from the state of Georgia. And so we gonna keep moving. And I would like to let you know that WCEG is, as I said, a worldwide community empowerment group. We speak life in the community. We are a nonprofit. Our business office is 404-490-8646. And the disclaimer is the topics and opinion of those of the show hosts, and the guests are not WCEG networks. That uh, uh, I wanted to make sure that I made you aware of that. And there are several ways that you can tune in to us today. You can watch us live on Facebook screen. You can go to WCEG Network, WCEG Talk Radio, hashtag WCEG Network TV, hashtag WCEG Network. You can go to Veterans Today and Veterans Today Radio on WCEG. So those are the ways that we are on the air, and we are moving on. And while my guest Debra is getting on, I will start off by just mentioning a couple of current events that's going on at this time. Uh, no, what me being a veteran, and our show is Veterans Today, we are always concerned about our nation, our military, and our veterans. So we are concerned, and we would like to ask the worldwide support for what's going on in Ukraine and supporting the people, the military, the veterans, as we support NATO and all of the veterans that is taking place there. Uh, we also would ask that our VA take care of our veterans as we go through wars. There are always life-changing events that take place with these wars. So we want our elected officials and the people to support all veterans and the military. And another event that took place this week is we have a new Supreme Court judge, and that Supreme Court judge is the first uh, Black woman that's on there. That's an achievement for democracy. It's an achievement for what's going on in America. And as we support our democracy in America, as we support diversity in America, we happy to see this happen and for it to be inclusive to everyone. Uh, Thank you on that. And one thing that we talked about quite a bit on Veterans Today is the VA, uh, your benefits and what's happening with the VA and how you can file a claim or get in the system. If you're not in the system, uh, there are quite a few ways that you can do that. And with technology and with the COVID-19 taking place, most of it is done uh, uh, with technology and not in person. So we we ask you to make sure you're current on your technology and that you know how to log on to the VA system and track all your benefits. For an example, you can track the status of a VA claim, or you can track the status of appeal that you have in the VA system. And the way to get started by that is to go into va.gov. That's the website, and create, if you're not in the system, create a login and password. And there are tutorials in the system that will walk you through how you can track your claim and everything that's associated with it. So we ask you to do that, and we ask you to keep doing that. And as we move forward, we will. There are quite a few actions that we would like to take for you to do to follow your claim, and as we go through the VA system. And Debra is having trouble getting on, so while we are dealing with that, I'm gonna tell you that in the VA system, you have your disability benefits, you have medical benefits, you have rehabilitation benefit, education, housing. If you are a veteran or spouse of a veteran, there are quite a bit of activities, benefits that you have earned that is available to you. So please get in the system and take advantage of that. In housing and education, and that's a good way to get started. Also, as you progress through the system, as you progress through your military career, a lot of veterans stay in the military and make a career out of it. And when you do get out, you are in midlife. So you look at the transfer from being a military person to joining the system as an employee with starting your own business, corporate America, working for the U.S. Government. There are quite a few opportunities available, and there are organizations that are available to help you transition. And part of the military transition plan is that the military will help you transition to being able to do that. So please do that. And if you're not in the system, the way to get started is you can get started with your Social Security number or your DD-214, which is the separation paper from the military. And you can do it. The best option is to do it online. But if you choose to do it in person, for an example, you go to your nearest VA office, which could be a regional office or a community clinic, and do the application that way. You can also fill out the application, have the application printed, fill it out, and mail the application. So there are quite a few ways to get into the VA system so that you will be able to get started on getting your benefits. And as you get into the system, and as you being a veteran, and as you make movement in your work life, your personal life, there are benefits and that will assist you, like I mentioned, housing, education, uh, uh, helping with job training. Those are advantages that opportunity that you have earned as a veteran. So again, if you and also health benefits are important. Assistance with health benefits are important because either the VA health system, there's the VA benefit system, there's the VA health system, and also there's the VA system that take care of the national cemeteries. So that the VA, entire VA department is divided into 3 systems. So the health system is a big part of it because, for example, the hospitals, the clinic, and all the healthcare, medication, all that comes in as part of the VA health system. And when you're dealing with veterans and their families, we have to make sure that everyone understands you're actually dealing with 2 systems, and those 2 systems are completely different. Then they have 2 different sets of directors and personnel that are dealing with them. So they are, you're dealing with 2 systems, and you have to really navigate 2 systems to get that, to work through that. And we ask that you do that to make sure that you get your benefits as you go through the system while you and there's a process for that. So please do that as we as you navigate the system. And also as we move on and as we get as we go through the system, I see that Representative Bazemore is on. Can you unmute, please?
Good
there
afternoon.
You go. Good afternoon, my best friend. How you doing?
I am well. How are you?
I'm doing just well.
Good. You were doing a good job. I could hear you, and I couldn't be seen and get on because I didn't have the link to get on.
Well, we're in good shape.
Yes, definitely.
So let me
oh, I left that in. You don't want to see that.
Okay, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so let's somehow I'm having some technical difficulty now. But if you're introduce yourself and tell us of what's, well, let me introduce you and then we'll get started.
Okay.
State Representative Debra Bazemore represents District 63, and she's been on this show a number of times. She's a best friend of mine. The last time she was on the show was in January, and so she's coming back to give us an update of what went on in this last session. And Representative Debra Bazemore was elected to serve the citizen of the House District 63 in 2016. After this election, I'm sure that district has been adjusted, but she can tell you about that. So Representative Bazemore is a native of Liberty, New York, where she serves as the founder and president of Concerned Parents, advocating for students at the state level, earned effort and prestige in the Frederick Douglass Award Community Service, along with State Representative Roger Bruce, Virgil Flood, Ronnie Marvel, and a few others. She facilitated and participated in over 100 presentations in the legislature last year. So she's back to tell us what happened this year. So please get started.
Good afternoon to you, my friend, again, and good afternoon to all that have tuned in. I'm excited to come before you again. You know that veterans are at my heart, and I think we can't do enough to help. And so, as I've said prior, that any bill that comes before us that addresses veterans or their families, it's 99.999% to pass. It's going to pass. Unfortunately, this year, because it's an election year, we had some of our colleagues not want to hear some of the bills that were presented by my colleagues in the Democratic Party or Caucus. So we know, however, we have another chance next year, but there were many bills for vets that were actually passed. QBE, the Quality of Basic Education Act was passed. We have military emergency management and vets affairs, exempts people from evictions, the professional and business expedited license for military spouses. I think that was passed last year, but there were so many that I could not tell you all of them. But the way you can find out, if you would go on the Georgia General Assembly, and then once that page comes up, all you have to do is put in veterans in the search bar when you're searching for any legislation, and all of it will pop up. The House and the Senate and those things that have been passed. And you can just go through that page and you can find a lot of information out. And that is the Georgia General Assembly. Just Google Georgia General Assembly and it will come up for you. Income tax for Georgian vets, work opportunity tax credit. That was another one that was passed. I know that you all have heard about all these election bills. We had more election bills this year. I guess they think they weren't finished tying our hands, so they introduced some more to tie the hands of those on the county level and the state level also, because they took the power away from the Secretary of State. So what I want to tell you and encourage you to do is to make sure you vote early. Please make sure right now you go on my voter page, MVP, and find out if you are still on the rolls, because we know purging took place a couple of years. Make sure you know exactly where your voting location is, because they have created distractions. So as for you to go to your same voting location and not to check to make sure where you have to vote this year. Make sure you are there, because if you don't, your vote won't count. And make sure you tell your friends, your neighbors, your family members, everybody, coworkers, everybody you know, to make sure that they vote and vote early, so that we are not stuck on the day of election with standing outside for 6 to 8 hours to vote. So, yes.
I don't want to enter, but one thing also, I know May the 24th is close, and
yes,
like in Cobb and DeKalb County, they are already publishing what days, the locations, and the dates, and how you can deal with absentee ballots, and they really did change the process. So if from November of 2020, so I encourage people, like you saying, to make sure that you read the information, you go to the website so there won't be any surprises, like you say, standing in line for 6 hours.
Right. And you can call your local
We lost her. Go ahead and say something.
Okay, we're having some technical difficulty with Debra. Our network is seem to be freezing up. So we'll you back? I'm mute.
I'm not sure. I guess the connection in my office is not really good where I was sitting. I just moved to try to make sure I got a better connection.
Go ahead.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, we have to make sure that we know, and you can also call your local county election board and ask them, because they have the information right now today. So you want to make sure you have that information. And also, just for me, when redistricting occurred, what happens is, if a lot of you don't know, is when the census is sent out to everybody and they fill it out, that's when we find out where the growth and the movement of people have occurred. And so if, say it's 100,000 people and we have 10 representatives, well, we have to then shift to make sure each and every representative has almost the same amount of people that they're representing. So that's what happened, excuse me, with 180 of us. So some areas lost people, some lost a lot of people, some gained people. So we can't have somebody representing 70,000 people and somebody else representing 60. So that's why the lines are redrawn. And for other purposes, I will leave it at that.
We know about that.
Yeah. So in my case, my district currently until the end of this year is District 63. But it will, as of January 1st, it will change to 69. So what's so confusing is that for the May 24th election, I will be running for District 69, but still be serving District 63 until the end of the year. So,
So,
yep.
so is that the case for most representatives?
Whoever's district has changed, their number has changed, that's for all of us. So, and it's really difficult because some people, like I've gained certain people, so I want to jump in right now and go and present myself and introduce myself and, you know, have conversations and work that district. However, you still have a state rep that's in that district, and their obligation is to serve until the end of the year. So we have to work closely together with one another to make sure we respect each other's district and lines. So yes,
That's no, that really adds confusion to the
most
process.
definitely. Most definitely. Now, if you know that the state reps were confused because some of my colleagues were confused, you know the voters are confused, you know. So we want to make sure that the information is out there, that they have it. And one other way that you can find out who your representatives will be is if you go to state, why is it, I'm having a brain freeze right now, and I say it all the time, open states. Go to, just Google open states. When you Google open states, it will give you the option to choose Georgia, and then you choose legislators, and then you put your address in. Once you put your address in, down at the bottom on the left-hand side will pop up 2 pictures. Sometimes it's not a picture because the person may have been new, but you will know who your state senator is and who your state representative is, and the name is there. So you will have that information, and you can contact them. Please contact us if you have questions that are not being answered for you.
Great.
Yeah.
So for that, so for an example, I can actually, well, first of all, I can ask my veterans to contact you, but I could also put a refer to some of those numbers and links on my website.
Please, because we have to get the word out and everybody has to be educated on. I mean, I can be in the store, I'll be at an appointment, I'll be on the street, and I start having a conversation with people. Just, it doesn't matter if they're my constituent or not, because I represent the whole state, but I want people to know. And I don't care at this point, I don't care if you are young or old. Even if you're young, I think young people need to know right now, even if they're not eligible to vote right at this election, they will be. And then if you engage them in conversation, that will pique their interest. And then we have more voters. And so we found out that when we send Senator Warnock and Senator Ossoff, a lot of younger voters were the reason. So we need them and they need us.
Okay. So let's talk the May 24th primary. It's both, no, it's a general primary. So it includes both the Democrats and Republicans and independents.
Right.
And where I'm going with this is after the primary, then the winner on the Democratic side is going to be in competition with the winner on the Republican side.
Exactly.
And so that after you go through the runoff, then that election is that July? Is it later?
So I'm not quite sure what it is. I could pull it up, but if you go on the Secretary of State's website, the dates are there right now. and I know I had it because I published it in my newsletter. And if you have not got my newsletter, you will. So it was a weekly one just to keep everybody updated on what was going on and that kind of information.
But that's, I mean, that's the way it's, I just want to keep all our veterans and viewers involved. This is an ongoing process. It leads up to the election in November.
That's right.
But the primary on May is the start of the process. So,
that's right. That's the primary. That's right.
We need to be in. We need to plan to be in it and be up to date and educated for the long haul.
Yes. Yes. And it is a long drawn out process and it's kind of tedious when, like with us, the legislators, the incumbents that have opposition, because we go from the 40 days and more of being a legislator for the beginning of the year. And then as soon as you wake up the next day after sine die, you are now switching hats. And now you're in campaign mode until May 24th. If you have someone that's a Democrat running against a Democrat and the Republican against Republican, they have their own election also on that same day. And as you said, after whoever the victor is, after that, then you have to go again in November and you go up against a Republican if you are a Democrat and vice versa.
Well, and I hope most people know this. I was a poll worker for about 10 years, and so when you go to vote, in particular now that absentee voting is big, the voters. I want to encourage the voters to make sure you ask for whatever ballot you want. And don't be confused because that can get complicated also.
Yeah, and then they give you a provisional one if you have the wrong and you have the wrong, and so all provisional ballots are not included, unfortunately. So please just make sure do it early and do it at the right location. And like I said, Secretary of State's website has everything you need and it's easy. It is friendly to individuals that would go on and try to search. So please do that. I didn't know if you had another question.
I do, but go ahead.
Okay. No, I was going to shift to something else, but I want to stay here.
Okay. No, go ahead and shift.
Okay, so you all know that we had a huge mental health bill that passed. It was bipartisan, and I was so happy about it because you may not know, but my oldest sister had mental health issues, and the whole family dealt with it for over 30 years. And it was a lot. It was truly a lot. And it wasn't just her, but her husband, her kids, me as her sister, and my other sister's siblings, my mother, my stepdad. Like, it touched everybody. And it was overwhelming, especially as long as it took. And so this bill really addresses and gives more resources to those individuals that are suffering. And I'm sure we have vets that are suffering. Once you go to war and come back, you're not made to see that kind of destruction and deal with the deaths like you are exposed to. And so what I really like too is that now, not the pandemic itself, but what came out of it is that more people are talking about it. More people are going to get help. It's not taboo anymore, especially amongst our Black men and women. You always told, well, you don't tell anybody that. You don't go talk to anybody. What are you talking about? Go to church, talk to your pastor, But no, we need help. And that pandemic really allowed the floodgates to open and us to see that there are so many people that are suffering and we need to help them. And this bill, even with the police, now we've heard this for a long time, how the police, they cannot identify someone that is in mental health crisis as opposed to someone that's being confrontational. And so a lot of times they kill them or they arrest them and throw them in jail and they can't get the help they need. This will help. When I tell you there's so much in that bill, and I am so glad that I was able to be a part of that. And we have a mental health caucus that evolved out of this whole thing too. So a lot of my colleagues on both sides are involved in that caucus.
Well, that's super. And because I have family members that we have dealt with it from the time I was a child. Important is the VA, the veterans. Our case are worse than the civilian, and the support is ridiculous. And what this will do is give us veterans an additional option other than the VA, because no, PTSD, MST is I mean, those are the two primary issues in the VA at this time that not being dealt with appropriately financially, and they being the VA have made it a priority, but the action that they are taking is not matching what they're saying. So this is super. As a veteran and as veteran families, we still have the VA issues, but this gives us another option, because as in my veteran group, I would say at least 3 times a month, I get a call, and it's regarding mental health issues.
Yeah. Yeah. And I ditto what you say, because I see, the reports and on TV and everywhere, and from constituents about how we need to overhaul the VA. And I am glad, however, that Senator Ossoff has taken on that challenge. Excuse me. So hopefully it will start to get better.
Well, that's great. And what you said earlier about Senator Ossoff and Warnock getting more young voters involved, that really brings joy to me and to veterans, because particularly Vietnam veterans. Now someone gave me a number this week, which kind of blew my mind. Is there's only at one time there was 1 million Vietnam veterans living, and now it's down to like 600,000.
Oh wow!
So so we need the younger generation to.
That's right.
To keep the ball rolling.
That's right. Pick up the mantle and realize that we are free. We have freedoms because of veterans. Definitely.
And I was going, we're going to move to something else and we'll come back. In the introduction, I was going to ask you to comment on the Supreme Court nomination.
I was ecstatic yesterday. I was so happy. I did not know what to do. Just watching the first Black woman to represent us on the Supreme Court. That was awesome, despite the fact that she got these ridiculous questions and drilled and drilled and drilled. She stood her ground. She made us proud, and I'm sure she will make us prouder when she gets on the Supreme Court. And one thing I did like that was said is because she's had so many situations in her own life, she can identify with us, everyday people. So her being on the Supreme Court is going to be, it's going to bless all of us, not just some, but all of us. It's awesome. It is truly. And now I'm waiting for the first Black woman to be the governor of the state of Georgia. So I hope you guys are hearing me. You have to go out and vote. Yes.
That is great. And my other question is, we in America, we have this certain amount of the population that want to say that we are not a democracy. And I think, in my opinion, what's happened with the present administration in the leadership is it's proof that it is working. But also we got to stay vigilant and make sure that we stay on top of it. If not, because you still have the dissenters out there, and it's not just a few people, it's quite a few people that is against the democracy, in my opinion.
Herman, you are so right about that. I cannot tell you how many emails we still receive saying that the election was stolen. We are still getting emails. And I mean, they're flooding our email box. And what's crazy is that even if you want to have a conversation, there's no reasoning. You just can't reason. So it would take away from the positive things that we're trying to do down here to stop and have that conversation. Just last week, one of our colleagues got in a well, and they were trying to censor our president and take away his veto power on Medicaid vouchers and talking about the oil crisis. He needs to do something. Meanwhile, we know that oil companies are privately owned. You can't dictate to a privately owned company, but they're blaming it on our president. But he stood in the well and he was questioned. He said, well, and this was about the election, and he was asked by one of my colleagues, well, our Secretary of State said there was no fraud and that the election was not tampered with. And he stood there and said, I didn't hear that. I don't know that. This is a state representative standing in the well telling us that. And we just sat there like, what is going on? So we had a rough year. I'm here to tell you, when the dean of the House says that has been there for 48 years, he says that this is the worst he's ever seen it, you need to believe it. I mean, everything came out. Our hands were tied. We could not get our bills heard. We couldn't get them across the line. We couldn't get, it was nothing. You press the button at your desk to speak. The speaker could call on you or not. Most times he didn't, because they did not want any win for us, because then we could hang our hat on that during this election season. However, we had a phenomenal leader in James Beverly, and he negotiated. And I don't know if you all know that I'm on the leadership team also as the chief deputy whip. And when I tell you he negotiated, and so at crossover, that's the midway, he got 12 of our bills out because he negotiated. So we held the line on a lot of the constitutional amendments, and those you have to get 120 votes. So they know that it's not just about them, they need us. So we said, no, we're not giving you that unless you give us this.
That's great. The dean, the representative that retired from I believe from Columbus. I can't think of his name right now.
Calvin Smyrie.
Exactly. I mean, that was great. No, I listened to a little bit of what he said, and what he said is so true. I mean, it's the house now is a lot different than it was when he first came in. And no, he didn't go into details, but we can just, those of us that been living in Georgia, we know that it is changing, but it's slow.
Definitely. And I just am so happy for him. When you live your life the way he has worked across the aisles, he is reasonable, he is willing to push you, and he just advises you, directs you. He's just kind heart. So I sat on the same row as he. And I mean, we've sat on executive teams together, the National Black Caucus for State Legislators, and had time together. But that man is well deserving of his ambassadorship that he has gotten to the Dominican Republic. And I think I'm going to be booking a trip there probably. So, to see my friend.
Sounds great. Let's see. So we got we already been redistricted, and we got election coming up in November. So the gap between the two parties in the state, do you see that decreasing at this year?
I'm glad you asked that question because I wanted to get into that. We have just in the House alone over 30 representatives that will not be coming back. 30. And so I think we on our side have about 20 Democrats. They have either gone to run for a higher office or they're not coming back. So it's going to look very different, even from the time I got in there. It's going to look very different. I believe, though, that the way the districts are and the appetite that the people have, I believe we should be able to pick up more seats. And even if we don't get to that 92, we will have enough that they will have to respect us. They will have to talk to us and negotiate, not just do what was done, for the last 2 years. So I have faith that we are going to get there.
Great. That is great. We got about 7 or 8 minutes left. So what else is hot?
So, and I left my notes over there. I'm trying to think what else we had. We talked about election, we talked about the bill. Oh, so we created another caucus also. It's the Georgia Israel Legislative Caucus, and I am one of the founding co-chairs for the caucus. So just continuing to build relationships across the board and in other countries and nationalities, ethnicities is so important for us to do, because we have to look like who we represent. And so at this juncture, we only have one Jewish brother in the House of Representatives. So hopefully we will be opening it up, and we will, after these races are done, we will see more diversity. That's what we really need. We need diversity because each one of us speaks for our community. And if it's just my community and your community, then that's not Georgia. So, and I love, like I said, I hail from New York. So that's the melting pot, you know. So everybody, everything is there. We don't have time to look at each other and go, where are you from? What kind of nationality? Who's your mother? We don't have time for that. So this is what I hope is going to happen here, and especially in the Georgia General Assembly.
I know we can go to the website, but two things: the rural economy and technology in rural areas is I know that when I go to the website, there are subcommittees and it's on there, but is there any activity actually dealing with for example, technology in rural areas?
Yes, especially the broadband. That has been put in one of the bills, and I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't remember which one, but we have addressed that, and I believe that bill had passed, because you know that on crossover, if you haven't gotten your bill over to the other house, what can happen is if it's pertinent to whatever bill you find in the other house, you can ask the author, can I add this to your bill? And I believe that's something that did occur, that broadband got put in another bill. So,
Right.
you know, I can research it and find it for you, and so that you can, you know, give it to your audience. But yes, that is imperative, because people just don't have access, and I mean children, and we enjoy that that here, but not all over Georgia. They don't know what that is. We're on 5G right now, and they still don't have it. So we need to make sure that we supply that to every person, make it available.
Okay. So we got the May primary, we got the general election. So the rest of the year, what are you gonna be doing?
Woo! Woo! My calendar is already filling up. It's like, and most people think, oh, well, they only work 40 days out of this year, you know, from January usually till March or April. But as soon as we get out, because our constituents are like, okay, they're out now. So I need for you to come and speak, or I need you to come to this event or that event. So we stay busy the whole year, trust me. And, you know, like I said, we have to keep everybody informed about what's going on. We have to be accessible. And so that's one of my biggest things. And you know that. I
Well,
want to, yes,
I
I need to be
congratulate
accessible.
you. You're not my number one, and we keep.
Yeah.
I mean, you and I have additional other representatives, but I make sure that the
Mhm.
veterans are updated. And it's my goal, as you know, to get veterans more involved, and
That's right. That's right.
we're gonna do that.
And you know, whenever I look at my phone and I see what Herman Anderson, hold on, stop talking, hold on. I have to take your call. I have to be very busy or not available not to get on the phone with you, because, you know, like I said, vets are at my heart. They're in my heart. And, you know, my son served in the Air Force. And so, yeah, even before that, I was, even before I became a state rep, you remember,
I
and
remember
I was with you guys working.
you were, and we have other representatives also. So
Mhm,
we
mhm.
are a team, and we're
That's
gonna
right.
grow.
Work together. That's right.
So all right, one last thing you want to tell us before we run out of time?
I just can't stress enough about the election, and I know you've talked about it again too, but please, please, please make sure right now, when you finish listening to this broadcast, please find out where you have to vote, if you're still registered to vote, and make sure you go early. and vote. We need every single vote. There's going to be, it's going to be interesting this election season. And I know even our, the Republicans on that side, the Dems on this side, we have a lot of our colleagues, my brothers and sisters that are running for state offices, lieutenant governor, Department of Labor. You know what happened with Department of Labor during the COVID. It was horrible. I had people calling me that were owed over $9,000. $9,000. This happened to them. They didn't cause this problem. And you held up over $9,000 of their money. We need new representation. Across the board, we have people running. So please look to see who these people are, educate yourself. I've always said, when I first started running, I said, Google me, because I want you to know who I am and what I've done. I don't want you to just go off of what somebody told you because I live next to you, because I go to church with you. You need to put the right person in that seat that's going to represent you.
Well, that's super. And with that, one thing is know when to bring it to a close. And with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to Representative Debra Bazemore. I thank you. We are friends. We're gonna keep working together.
Most definitely.
So to all our listeners, Veterans Today, we just had a great hour. We got all started a little bumpy, but we end it on a great ride. So everyone have a good weekend and be safe and make sure you educate yourself and vote. Thank you.
Yes.